Alright, let me ask you something. Have you ever stumbled across a game, played it, and thought, how on earth did nobody tell me about this? Yeah, we've all been there. You're browsing your game library, nothing new to play, scrolling endlessly, questioning your life choices, and bam, out of nowhere you click on some random game you bought ages ago during a Steam sale, or grabbed off the PS Store on a whim, and suddenly it becomes your new obsession. Well, my friends, today we're diving headfirst into exactly those kinds of experiences. We're not talking your everyday mainstream hits. No, today's lineup is all about those glorious hidden gems. Games that flew so low under the radar they practically tunneled underground. These games didn't get massive marketing budgets or hype machines, but let me tell you, they've got something special. Gorgeous graphics, innovative gameplay, and unforgettable stories. All quietly waiting in the shadows whispering, hey you, want to play something amazing? We're talking thrilling sci-fi adventures, jaw-dropping action set pieces, quirky indie darlings, and even some games that'll have you questioning reality itself. Oh, and fair warning, after watching this video, your backlog might double in size, but hey, what's life without a little risk? So grab your snacks, get comfy, and buckle up, because these are 20 games that are hidden gems. And trust me, you're gonna want to tell your friends about these, or maybe keep them a secret. I won't judge. Let's dive in. Spec Ops. The line tricks you into thinking it's just another generic military shooter, and then it punches you right in the gut. Story-wise, that is. This 2012 third-person shooter, available on PC, PS3, Xbox 360, drops you into a sandstorm-ravaged Dubai with a small Delta Force squad. At first you're thinking, okay, cover-based shooter, got it. The graphics set the scene with blinding sand, shattered skyscrapers, and unsettling beauty in the devastation. Impressive for the time. But where it really shines, or rather darkens, is the narrative. As you push deeper into the city, the game starts messing with your expectation. I won't spoil anything, but it goes heavy on psychological themes and the horrors of war. There's a moment with white phosphorus that genuinely made my heart sink. If you've played it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The gunplay feels solid, but it's the story that will stick with you. By the end, I was left staring at the screen wondering, did that really just happen? Am I the Betty here? Spec Ops. The line flew under the radar for a lot of players, possibly because it came across as a run-of-the-mill shooter at a glance. It's not a feel-good game, but it is an important one, and a hell of an experience if you appreciate a game that challenges your moral. If you're up for a shooter that will make you think and feel in ways you didn't expect, give this overlooked title a go. Just be ready for some heavy stuff along the way. Who knew that pondering the nature of consciousness could be so much fun? The Talos Principle, 2014, sneaks deep philosophy into an awesome first-person puzzle game, available on PC and console. You wake up as a robot in a beautiful, mysterious world filled with ancient ruins and advanced technology side by side. Graphically, it was impressive for 2014. Serene gardens, desert temples, and shiny sci-fi labs rendered in detail. It's peaceful until the puzzle melts your brain a bit. The puzzles themselves are Portal-esque, but instead of portals, you're using gadgets to redirect lasers, manipulate time recordings of yourself, and avoid drone. They start simple and then get deviously complex. I remember one puzzle had me stumped for an hour, but when I finally solved it, I did a little victory dance in my chair. And all the while, a godlike voice named Elohim is booming philosophical statements, encouraging you to solve puzzles as some sort of test. You also find computer terminals with text logs that gradually reveal a surprisingly emotional backstory about humanity. Won't spoil it, but it goes places. Talos Principle didn't have the mass appeal of a shooter or RPG, but boy is it a gem if you enjoy a mental challenge. It's the kind of game where you might come for the puzzles and stay for the existential crisis. If you ever fancied yourself a fan of puzzle games or just want to experience a game that makes you think about life, consciousness, and cute Roomba-like robots, give this one a try. It's as thought-provoking as it is entertaining. The vanishing of Ethan Carter starts by literally telling you, this game is a narrative experience that does not hold your hand. And it means it, but that's what makes it great. Released in 2014 on PC, later on PS4 Xbox, it's a first-person mystery adventure that's drop-dead gorgeous. I'm talking photorealistic forests, a quiet lakeside valley, and an abandoned town that all feel hauntingly real. For a game about spooky disappearances and occult hints, it sure makes the horror look beautiful. You play as Paul Prospero, a detective with a psychic touch, investigating the fate of a boy named Ethan Carter. There's no combat. It's all about exploration, solving environmental puzzles, and piecing together a story that's equal parts eerie and touching. One minute you're investigating a grisly crime scene by reassembling clues, the next you're stumbling into a surreal dreamlike sequence that reveals more about Ethan's fate. It's got this Twilight Zone, you're in Stephen King vibe without ever resorting to cheap jump scares. I remember getting goosebumps at some revelations, even without anything chasing me. Ethan Carter flew under a lot of folks' radar, likely because it's a slow burn narrative game in an era when action was king. But if you're down for a moody, atmospheric experience that lets you play detective in a stunning environment, give it a shot. Just a heads up, you'll want to play this one with headphones on and the lights off for maximum immersion. And when you do figure out the mystery, no spoilers, it's the kind of ending that sticks with you. Have you ever been so angry you could punch a god? Assuras Wrath builds an entire game around that vibe. Released in 2012 for PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, this action game is basically an interactive over-the-top anime. And I mean over the top, the kind where a demigod the size of a planet tries to squish you with his finger. Visually, it's stunning for its time. Crazy cinematic battles in space, mythical creatures, and anime-style art that explodes off the screen. Think high-quality animated movie meets video game. Now, fair warning, Asura's Wrath plays out more like a playable TV series than a traditional game. It's split into episodes, complete with to-be-continued screens, and a lot of the gameplay is cinematic, quick-time events mixed with beat-em-up action. If you're looking for deep combat mechanics, this might not be your thing, but if you're down for a wild interactive story where you basically rage your way through the heavens, it's a blast. I was glued to the screen just to see what insanely absurd boss fight would happen next, and it keeps topping itself. Asura's Wrath didn't get a ton of commercial love, but it's got cult classic written all over it. It's the kind of game you show to a friend just to watch their jaw drop at the sheer spectacle. Ever punch an elder god so hard that your arms literally fall off? Asura has. If you're in the mood for something different, part game, part epic anime meltdown, track this one down. It's one heck of a ride. Concrete Genie is the kind of game that'll make your inner kid jump for joy. Released in 2019 for PS4, it's an action-adventure title with a really creative twist. You paint life into a dull, polluted town. Visually, it's a treat. You use a magical paintbrush to create murals, and these aren't normal paintings. They're vivid, neon creatures and landscapes that actually come alive on the walls. Imagine painting a goofy-looking monster friend and watching it frolic along your artwork. It's like graffiti meets Pixar. You play as Ash, a bullied kid in a nearly abandoned seaside town called Denska. As Ash, you set out to recolor the city's grimy, dark streets with brilliant living art. The graphics really pop when your paint strokes start illuminating alleyways and rooftops, and the game makes great use of the PS4's motion controls to let you paint. It feels intuitive and fun. There are light puzzle elements, like figuring out which drawings to use to light up all the bulbs in an area, and even a bit of monster-avoiding stealth when some real-life bullies show up. I remember laughing when one of my friendly paint creatures set its butt on fire. On purpose, it liked it, to help me solve a puzzle. It's that kind of whimsical game. Concrete Genie went underappreciated, probably because it wasn't a huge release, but it's overflowing with charm. The story is actually pretty touching too, dealing with bullying and self-expression in a heartfelt way. If you want to break from dark and gritty and feel like adding a splash of color to the world, literally, this hidden gem is absolutely worth your time. Plus, you'll never look at street art the same way again. Not every game has to be about combat. Sometimes you just want to explore and soak in the scenery. Eastshade, 2019, scratches that itch and then some. Available on PC, PS4, and Xbox One. It's a first-person adventure game where you're a traveling painter, not a warrior. That's right, your mission is to capture beautiful landscapes on canvas. And the world of Eastshade is full of beauty. Imagine lush forests, serene coastlines, and cozy villages with an almost storybook vibe. The graphics and art direction make every area screenshot-worthy. As you wander around, you meet the animal-like inhabitants. Think anthropomorphic characters, kind of like a friendly fawn walking on two legs, and take on quests. But these quests might be helping someone remember a place by painting it, or solving a little puzzle for a local. There's no fighting at all, and honestly, it's refreshing. I found myself unwinding while playing Eastshade, like it was a gaming vacation. One time I spent almost an hour just finding the perfect spot to paint a sunset, because the view was that good. Eastshade flew under the radar, likely because it's so peaceful and different from typical big releases. But it's absolutely a gem if you appreciate exploration and atmosphere. It proves you don't need epic battles to have an adventure. Sometimes a canvas, an easel, and a sense of curiosity are all you need. If the idea of a relaxing yet engaging game sounds appealing, give it a shot. Just be warned, it might ignite your inner artist, even if, like me, you can barely draw a stick figure in real life. How about a game where you're a cyberpunk ninja, slicing through enemies in sync with a thumping techno beat? That's Ghostrunner in a nutshell. Released in 2020 for PC, PS4, and Xbox One, and later updated for new consoles. Ghostrunner is a first-person action platformer that's all about speed and style. And boy, does it look slick. Neon-soaked cityscapes, rain, and holograms everywhere, and buttery smooth motion even when you're wall running at full sprint. In Ghostrunner, one hit means death for you and the bad guys. It's all or nothing. You have a sword, you have parkour skills, and you have special abilities like a blink dash that lets you zip through bullet. It's challenging, and you will die and repeat sections like a futuristic gauntlet. But when you hit that flow state, dodging bullets in slow-mo and cutting down foes in one seamless run, it feels incredible. I remember finally beating a level that had killed me 50 times. I was literally out of breath from the tension and excitement. This game didn't get AA level hype, but it earned a cult following. If you enjoy titles like Mirror's Edge or Hotline Miami, imagine a fusion of those in a cyberpunk world. Ghostrunner will be your jam. The soundtrack pumps you up, the visuals are a neon dream, and the gameplay is pure adrenaline once you get the hang of it. Just be ready to die, learn, and repeat a lot. It's tough but fair, and the rush of pulling off a perfect run is totally worth it. A true hidden gem for those who like their action fast and their synthwave tunes loud. Ever wanted to explore Tokyo's neon-lit streets, emptied by a supernatural event, armed with spell-slinging powers instead of guns? Ghostwire Tokyo lets you do just that, and it's a trip. Released in 2022 for PS5 and PC and later Xbox, this first-person action adventure is a visual feast. Imagine rain-soaked Shibuya alleys with ray-traced reflections, eerie torii gates glowing under a full moon, and creepy cool enemy designs based on Japanese folklore. Headless schoolgirls? Anyone? The graphics and atmosphere are so on point that you can almost smell the ramen stands, if not for the spirits floating around. You play as Akito, one of the last living humans in a city where nearly everyone else has vanished mysteriously. A supernatural entity named KK merges with you, and together you take on malevolent spirits haunting the city. Combat isn't about guns. It's about weaving elemental spells with hand gestures, kind of like Doctor Strange dropped into J-horror. Shooting out gusts of wind or a burst of fire from your fingertips never gets old. There's also a sidekick cat, well, a yokai that looks like a cat, who runs convenience stores, and if that isn't reason enough to check it out, I don't know what is. Ghostwire Tokyo got a bit overlooked, maybe due to launching around some bigger hits. Sure, it's not a flawless game. The open world checklist stuff is there by us, but it's such a unique atmosphere and setting that it deserves more love. I found myself just wandering, marveling at how deserted yet alive the city felt with its restless spirits. If you're into action games that do things a little differently and have a flair for the supernatural, give this one a shot. It's spooky, stylish, and seriously cool to look at. What if a video game felt like a playable Saturday morning cartoon that also happened to be a rhythm action spectacle? HiFi Rush answers that with a resounding rock on. Dropped unexpectedly in early 2023 for PC and Xbox Series XS, this game is a burst of pure joy and color. Visually, it's like Jet Set Radio had a baby with a comic book, cel-shaded pop art style that looks sharp and vibrant. And the best part, everything in the world moves to the beat of the music. You'll see factories pulsing, enemies attacking, even your own combos syncing perfectly to an upbeat rock soundtrack. You play as Chai, a wannabe rock star who, due to a corporate experiment gone wrong, has an iPod, well, music player, stuck in his chest, and the world now literally revolves around music for him. Combat is action-packed with a twist. You don't have to hit on the beat, but if you do, oh boy, it's satisfying. You'll be whacking evil robots with a guitar in time to the drum beat, pulling off special moves that feel like a jam session. The game's humor is on point too. Chai and his ragtag team, including a very sassy cat robot, keep things light and funny. I lost count of how many times I chuckled at the dialogue or the animated antics. HiFi Rush kinda came out of nowhere and stole hearts, but it's still likely a mystery to anyone who isn't plugged into gaming news. It's definitely a gem worth checking out. Whether you're into rhythm games or not, it's hard not to grin while playing this one. It's energetic, it's witty, and it'll have your head bobbing along as you button mash, in rhythm of course, your way through a corporate-controlled city gone mad. If you've ever wanted to play a game that feels like a Pixar movie come to life, Kina, Bridge of Spirits is your jam. This 2021 action-adventure, PS4, PS5, PC, is downright beautiful. We're talking pixie dust particles in the air, lush forests, and some of the cutest little creature companions, the rot you've ever seen. The graphics and animations are top-notch, which makes sense since the developers were animation experts before this, and it shows. Every frame of Kina is bursting with color and life. You play as Kina, a young spirit guide helping troubled spirits find peace. Gameplay-wise, it's a mix of exploration, puzzle solving, and combat that surprisingly packs a punch. Don't be fooled by the adorable vibe. The combat can be challenging. Kina's staff can transform into a bow, She's got to dodge and parry, and you can send your fluffy rot buddies to weaken enemies or solve puzzles. One boss fight had me sweating and thinking, wait, when did this cutesy game get so intense? But it's a good challenge that keeps things interesting. And those rot creatures, they not only melt your heart, they also help you out by moving objects or swarming foes when powered up, which never gets old. Kina flew a bit under the radar, possibly because it was a new indie IP releasing among bigger titles, but it's absolutely a hidden gem. The story is touching, I may or may not have teared up at one point, and the whole experience just feels magical. If you're looking for a game with heart, stunning visuals, and solid gameplay, give Kina a go. It's like a playable fairy tale-ish with some epic battles thrown in. If you've ever felt the urge to put on a leather jacket and roar across a post-apocalyptic desert, Mad Max 2015 is the hidden gem you're looking for. Available on PC, PS4, and Xbox One. This open-world action game didn't get as much fanfare as some other sandboxes, but it nails the vibe of the Mad Max universe. The wasteland looks harsh and breathtaking, rolling sand dunes, rusted wrecks, and brutal dust storms that will have you saying wow right before you seek cover. You play as Max, of course, and a lot of the game revolves around your car, the magnum opus. You'll customize it with spikes, ramming grills, big engines, basically turning it into a war machine on wheels. Driving is a blast. One time I got so into a car battle, I literally shouted when I harpooned an enemy driver and yanked him out of his seat. On foot, it's all about gritty brawling. The melee combat feels weighty with punches, shotgun blasts, and explosive gadgets to take out raiders. It's like Arkham-style combat, but more savage and scrappy. Mad Max was overshadowed by a 2015 gaming landscape full of giants, but it's absolutely worth your time. The story is standalone. You don't need to have seen the films, but fans will catch little nods, and it has this melancholy undertone that surprised me. It's oddly relaxing to roam the open desert between bursts of vehicular chaos. If tearing through a dystopian wasteland sounds like a good time, give this one a try. And remember, in the words of the series, hope is a mistake out there, but having fun in a game like this, that's a sure thing. For you. Released in 2017 on PC, PS4, and Xbox One, Observer is a first-person psychological horror adventure that's moody, trippy, and visually striking. You play as Dan Lazarski, a detective in futuristic Poland who can hack into people's brain implants to interrogate their memories, played by the late Rutger Hauer, which is just perfect casting. The graphics set the tone perfectly. Flickering neon lights, grungy corridors, and holograms glitching in dilapidated apartment blocks. As an observer, you investigate a mysterious apartment complex after a murder, and things get weird fast. The gameplay is more about exploration and discovery than combat. Think of it like a cyberpunk detective story. But when you jack into someone's mind, brace yourself. Those sequences are like fever dreams. Surreal visuals, distorted realities, and yes, some genuine creep. One moment I was sneaking past a digital monster in someone's nightmare, heart pounding, and the next I was piecing together clues in a crime scene back in the real world. It keeps you on edge in the best way. Observer didn't get as much mainstream attention, but it's a gem for fans of horror or cyberpunk. It's not a jump scare fest. It's more about the atmosphere and slow burn dread. If you enjoyed movies like Blade Runner or games like Soma and Layers of Fear, this will be right up your alley. It's a shorter experience, but one that'll leave you pondering the nature of consciousness and identity, while also double-checking that your door's locked at night. Ever watch a blockbuster action movie car chase and wish you could be in the driver's seat? Split Second is exactly that fantasy come to life. Released in 2010 for PC, PS3, and Xbox 360, this arcade racer looks and plays like a Hollywood explosion fest. The graphics were awesome for its time. I'm talking collapsing buildings, bridges blowing up, planes crashing onto the track, all in real time while you race. It's one of those games where you'll go, did that just happen? Every other lap. The twist in Split Second is something called power plays. As you race and perform stunts, you build a meter that lets you trigger massive traps in the environment. Blow out a tower to crush your rivals or reroute the entire track by literally exploding a dam. Subtlety is not on the menu here, and it's glorious. I remember nearly dropping my controller the first time a freaking ship crashed into the harbor track I was on. Importantly, the controls and driving feel tight. So amidst all the chaos, it's still a great racing game. Unfortunately, Split Second got overlooked by many and never got a sequel. RIP Black Rock Studio. It was overshadowed by other racing games in 2010, which is a crime because no other racer quite did what this one did. If you're craving a high-octane, over-the-top racing experience that keeps you on the edge of your seat, check this gem out. Trust me, after playing Split Second, regular racing games might feel a little too tame. What do you get when a game is part third-person shooter, part sci-fi TV show? You get Quantum Break. This 2016 action-adventure, Xbox One and PC, tried something really bold that a lot of people missed out on. Visually, it was and still is a stunner. Think intense firefights frozen in time, glass and debris suspended midair as you dash past. The game's all about time manipulation, and it looks super cool when you stop the clock, and everything around you shatters in slow-mo. You play as Jack Joyce, a guy who accidentally gets time-bending powers from a science experiment gone wrong. Gameplay-wise, it's a blast. You can throw time blasts, zip around to flank enemies, and create time shields. One moment you're trading gunfire like a standard shooter, and the next you're basically teleporting behind a stunned enemy because you froze time. And then there's the narrative gimmick. After each act of the game, you watch a 20-minute live-action episode that shows consequences of your choices. Yep, they filmed a whole miniseries with real actors like Shawn Ashmore and Aidan Gillen. It sounds weird, but I found myself binge-watching those like a Netflix show. Quantum Break didn't get the love it deserved. Maybe the mix of TV and game threw people off, or it being an exclusive at launch limited its reach. But if you're up for something different, this is a unique experience. It's got that signature Remedy touch folks behind Max Payne and Alan Wake in its storytelling. Give it a try, and don't be surprised if you end up wishing more games took crazy risks like this with storytelling formats. Picture Neo Paris in the year 2084. Sounds beautiful, right? It is, and it's also the setting of Remember Me, an underrated 2013 action-adventure game, PS3, Xbox 360, PC, that oozes style. The graphics are sleek and futuristic, rain-soaked neon streets, towering holograms, and a city skyline that still looks pretty stunning today. You play as Neelan, a memory hunter with the power to remix people's memories. Yes, you literally break into minds and change their memories. How cool is that? The gameplay mixes hand-to-hand combat with a bit of platforming and those unique memory remix puzzles. The combat system lets you customize combos. You basically design your own fighting moves by deciding if you want hits to regen health, do more damage, etc. It's not as deep as something like Devil May Cry, but it's satisfying once you get the rhythm. The real show stealers, though, are the memory remix segments. These are like little detective puzzles where you alter someone's recollections to change their behavior. They're few, but they're memorable, pun intended, and had me wishing the game had more of them. Remember Me kind of came and went back in 2013, overshadowed by bigger titles and perhaps the fact that it was a new IP. Critics were mixed on the combat, but almost everyone agreed the world and concept were fantastic. If you're into sci-fi worlds and unique storytelling, give it a shot. It's one of those flawed gems that does something so interesting, you forgive its rough edges. Plus, Neo Paris is a place worth visiting, even if it's just in someone else's memories. Sometimes you just want to knee slide at rocket speed under a giant robot, right? That's exactly the kind of adrenaline rush Vanquish delivered. Released in 2010 on PS3 and Xbox 360, and later PC, this third-person shooter from Platinum Games cranks everything to 11. The graphics were top-notch for their time, with slick, futuristic battle suits and explosions galore, making sure your eyes have as much to feast on as your trigger finger does. What makes Vanquish special is how fast and stylish it is. You play as Sam Gideon, a guy in an advanced combat suit that basically turns him into a human rocket. One moment you're zipping on your knees across the floor in slow motion, the next you're vaulting over cover to kick a robot in the face. It's wild. I still remember the first time I used Sam's jet slide in slow-mo, my jaw dropped. The game rewards you for being aggressive and cool under fire. Think bullet time meets parkour, but with robots and lasers everywhere. Despite rave feedback from those who played it, Vanquish flew under the radar for many gamers. Maybe it was overshadowed by bigger franchises back then, but if you love action and haven't tried it, give this one a shot. It's one of those hidden gems that makes you wonder, how did I miss this? Trust me, once you experience its high-octane sci-fi action, you'll be telling your friends about the crazy game where you felt like an acrobatic super soldier on speed skates. No big deal. Just a post-apocalyptic journey inspired by a 16th century Chinese novel. Enslaved, Odyssey to the West somehow pulls that off. This 2010 action-adventure, available on PS3, Xbox 360, and PC, pairs you with an AI partner in a lush, overgrown world reclaimed by nature. And for a hidden game, it looks surprisingly gorgeous. Vibrant landscapes, detailed character animations, thanks to Andy Serkis's motion capture as the hero Monkey, and cinematic set pieces that still hold up. Enslaved stands out for its story and characters. You play as Monkey, a strong silent type, and Trip, a tech-savvy young woman who kinda sorta enslaves you with a headband, so you'll help her survive. Talk about an awkward first meeting. As you traverse ruined cities and battle rogue robots, a genuine friendship forms between the characters. The banter and the emotional moments feel earned, and I found myself really caring about these too by the end. The combat and platforming are solid, but it's that journey and the dynamic between Monkey and Trip that make it special. Somehow, Enslaved flew under the radar back then. Maybe it launched around bigger titles, or people just missed it. But if you love story-driven adventures with a bit of heart, give it a go. The game's beautiful visuals and heartfelt tale make it feel like an epic road trip through a broken world. And hey, who can resist the idea of a badass acrobat hero reluctantly playing bodyguard to the person who literally holds his leash? Imagine a game that mixes open-world crime drama with bone-crunching kung fu combat. That's Sleeping Dogs in a nutshell. Released in 2012 for PS3, Xbox 360, and PC, this action-adventure gem lets you loose in a vibrant Hong Kong cityscape that still looks great years later, especially in the later definitive edition. Neon-lit markets, bustling streets, and scenic mountain roads. The atmosphere is on point. You play as Wei Shen, an undercover cop trying to take down the triads from the inside. It's like living out a Hong Kong action movie. One minute you're in a high-speed chase on a motorcycle, the next you're in a warehouse brawl using improvised weapons and some seriously slick martial arts moves. The combat system is a standout. Think Batman, Arkham-style counters mixed with MMA takedowns and environmental finishers. Ever slam a goon into a phone booth? Satisfying. I found myself seeking out fights just to see all the crazy moves Wei can pull off. Despite positive reviews, Sleeping Dogs didn't get the spotlight it deserved, and plans for a sequel were sadly canned. Still, the game as it stands is plenty. The story hooks you with its mix of loyalty, betrayal, and culture clash, and the side missions and street races are a blast. If you missed it, now's a great time to dive in. It's an underrated sandbox that delivers intense action in a setting you don't see every day. Plus, where else can you sing karaoke, bust up gang hideouts, and then go eat dim sum all in one gaming session? You wouldn't think a game where you play as a tiny mouse would boast some seriously impressive graphics, but Ghost of a Tale will prove you wrong. This 2018 action-adventure stealth game, PC, PS4, Xbox One, has you scurrying around a medieval castle as Tylo, a little minstrel mouse on a quest to find his true love. And let me tell you, Tilo might be small, but the world he's in is gorgeous. From the flicker of torchlight on stone walls to the detailed armor of the rat guards hunting you. Stealth is the name of the game here. As a mouse, you're not exactly going toe-to-toe with big rats or spiders. Instead, you sneak around, hide in barrels and cupboards, and occasionally use distractions, like throwing bottles to slip past enemies. There are light RPG elements too. You pick up quests, find disguises, ever see a mouse dressed as a pirate? You will. And gradually uncover the lore of this animal kingdom. I found myself totally charmed by Tilo. I mean, who knew I'd get so invested in a little mouse's adventure? There's even a button to play your lute if you fancy a tune to lighten the mood. Ghost of a Tale slipped under the radar mostly because it was an indie project made largely by one person, a former DreamWorks animator. It's a passion project with heart, and it shows. If you enjoy games like the early Thief series or just want something a bit different and utterly enchanting, give this one a try. Sneaking through a dangerous world as a brave little mouse feels like being in a dark fairy tale, and it's one you won't forget. Time-traveling teenagers piloting giant mechs to fight an alien invasion. 13 Sentinels. Aegis Rim is as wild as it sounds, and yet it somehow all comes together into one of the most gripping stories I've played. Developed by Vanillaware and released on PS4 in 2020, with later ports to Switch, etc. This game is a unique mix. Part side-scrolling adventure, part top-down strategy. And its 2D art is absolutely gorgeous. Imagine a hand-painted anime film where every frame is lush with detail and mood. It might not be 3D realistic graphics, but relative to style, it's top tier. The game lets you follow 13 different characters through an intertwining narrative. Yes, 13, but don't worry, it works. One moment you're a high school kid in the 80s dealing with normal teen stuff, and the next you're flung into the future inside a mech fending off kaiju-like machines. The storytelling is non-linear and ambitious. You'll be scratching your head as puzzle pieces fall into place and revelations drop. Gameplay switches between visual novel-style exploration, talking to characters, exploring memories, and combat sections where you deploy mechs on a city grid to blast waves of enemies. The combat looks a bit abstract, lots of neon wireframe visuals, but it's tactical and gets intense. 13 Sentinels flew under many gamers' radars probably because it defies genre conventions and wasn't heavily marketed in the West. But it's a gem for sci-fi fans, anime lovers, or anyone who appreciates a deep story. I was hooked till the very end, trying to untangle its time-bending plot. It's one of those games where after finishing, you just sit there thinking, whoa, what a ride. If you want something truly different and enthralling, check it out. And there we have it, folks. 20 hidden gems that you probably didn't even know existed, but now absolutely need to play. If your backlog wasn't already overwhelming, you're welcome. Trust me, mine's just as bad. I've got more games than hours left in my lifetime. But hey, discovering hidden gems is half the fun, right? So here's the million-dollar question. Which one grabbed your attention the most? Was it the cyberpunk ninja action of Ghostrunner? The gorgeous Pixar-like magic of Kina, Bridge of Spirits, or maybe the mind-bending storytelling of 13 Sentinels? Let me know in the comments. I read every single one and secretly judge your taste. Kidding, sort of. And before you dash off to download your new obsession, don't forget to drop a like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon, because you wouldn't want these hidden gems to stay hidden forever, right? Thanks for hanging out, keep gaming, and remember, sometimes the best stories are the ones you never saw coming. Catch you in the next one.